So, Kim, last time we talked about the concerns about higher energy bills and the worrying trend of these continuing to rise. Cold Cozy can help advise people on how best to use their energy efficiently by having an energy advisor visit. But let's empower people to understand a bit more about what is going on in their particular situation and get the most out of the visit.
Yeah, Lynn, that's a great suggestion. Thanks for asking me. Why don't we start at the beginning and look at the energy bills themselves?
Yeah, mine is so confusing as well.
Well, yeah, whether it's a paper version online now, these days it's 4 pages of gobbledygook. It does read like a different language, doesn't it? And most of us look straight at the what's it going to cost me box and ignore the rest, don't we? But there's a wealth of information with them that's available, and it makes you really energy savvy and does mean that you can champion your own course with your supplier if you kind of understand what it's saying.
Yeah, Kim, I know we are talking generally here, but are all energy bills the same then?
Oh, the short answer is no. They're not all the same, Lynn, but they do have similarities. So perhaps we should talk about those. Ofgem, the industry regulator, states that the energy suppliers have to do certain things on their bills and they have to make them simple and engaging. And they have to include all the basics that you'd expect them to include, like your name and address, the name of your tariff, different type of tariffs that are available, not we've seen many of those recently, and how much energy you've used and when your contract's going to end and any exit fees if you leave. It should also include the standing charge, that's the daily rate charged on your account, and the VAT, and it includes your unique number so that you can always refer to that because it's generally not under your name that they'll find you, but under your reference number, and a bill date and a bill period, like if you get billed quarterly or monthly. So, and the last payment before this one, so that you can really see if there's a massive difference and it's a bit drastic, because you'd want to know why. So the period you're getting billed for can vary between monthly, as I've just said, to every 6 months, and payment methods can vary from direct debit to paying when the bill arrives, which a lot of people still do, or pay by prepayment meter, where you will still get a bill, but it'll be telling you how much you've used over a certain period and what they're charging you per unit. So that's cracking on a bit. So on your bill yourself, you have something. It's called an MPAN reference number, which means meter point admin number, and that's for your electric meter. And if you dual fuel, you have MPRIN as well, MPRN, and that's for your gas, and that means meter point reference number. And these numbers running order to what your meter says on the day of your bill. And we check those out when we come round and do your visit, compare them with your bill. We've even found them to be swapped over, believe it or not.
Oh, wow, Kim, that is a lot of information to take in off the energy bill. Thank you for that.
It sure is, isn't it? Yeah. The one other thing I've got to say, which I've been leaving because it confuses everyone, and that is the charge by kilowatt hour. That's the other thing on the bill. You can stop me when you've had enough of this one, but this is the charge on the bill that comes with the standing charge, and it tells you how much your kilowatt hour is costing you, i.e. 43 pence per kilowatt hour. But what's a kilowatt hour? What is it? Well, it's a standardized way of us talking about energy, so we can compare things like, the cost of an appliance. And the charge you'll see comes along with your standing charge and your VAT, and a kilowatt hour is 1,000 watts, which is equivalent to 3,600 joules. And if you calorie count, then you kind of probably recognize that if you've been dieting, it's about 840 calories. So yes, our energy is charged in calorific terms. So average appliances cost you so much, and you can work out how much you're spending or how much you could change by altering your behavior, by changing how much you're using. So a cooker, for example, 2 kilowatts for 30 minutes use. So there you go. If you're paying 30 pence per kilowatt hour, you know how much you're using then for 30 minutes. Gas is charged slightly differently because it's charged by volume. Because it's different, and that's why you'll see the 3 cubic mark, M with the 3 cubic mark, or the imperial one, FT with the 3 on it. because it's a cubic measurement. But a conversion's done, which is all proper maths, and I'm not even going there. Eventually it goes into the calorific value and becomes kilowatts, and then they're both billed that way. So that's your bills in a nutshell. Information if you understand it, which is like gold dust, because that's what our energy bills are costing us. It's true. It's the equivalent to gold. So it comes to managing bills, use and energy behaviours. Having that knowledge can really help you.
Thank you, Kim. That's absolutely brilliant. Okay, last time we talked about our energy bills and I mentioned about meters and checking that it was matching your bill. So I wondered if everyone knows how to read their meter.
Yeah, sure. Yes, that's the sort of question that I was wondering that you might want to know about, because certainly when I was a child, it was all dials. It wasn't digital at all and very confusing. So let's put a few things out there and put a few simple rules in place which can keep you straight and your energy company happy with your readings, which are always going to be a better option than giving out, giving your reading rather than having an estimated reading.
Okay. Kim gives us these rules. You promised they were simple.
Yes.
These rules.
If you need to read your meter, first of all, very important, you always read from left to right. And you ignore numbers that are in red. And usually electricity will want 5 numbers off you and 4 numbers for your gas. And also zeros are usually ignored at the beginning or end of a reading. Is that quite simple? so yeah, if you're going to have to read a dial meter, and there are still some of them that exist and are around still, then you still go from left to right and you read each dial separately and you look at the arrow, and the arrow tells you which way that movement is moving around that clock. It can be clockwise, it can be anti-clockwise. So obviously the arrow gives you the direction, and that will help you choose the right number. We went through last time what M stands for, MPAN. So you just double check that as you're looking at your meter box to make sure you are reading the electricity meter for the electricity bill. And MPRN for the gas. And of course, the other clue there is the 3 by the side because it's a volume counter. So that helps as well rather than units. And you can also check to see if it's in metric or imperial. And that M is metric, FT for foot is imperial. If you have an economy 7 meter or a 10 meter, you'll get 3 meter readings. So, okay, you've done your first reading, and your first reading is your daytime meter for your electric. But it is the 3rd reading that is your economy 7 or your nighttime cheaper rate. The 2nd is the combination of the 2 added together. And I think this is where many people wonder what it's there for. It was put in by electricity companies to stop fraud, because then they know what you're doing. So if you give the first 2 readings, you're paying for your daytime usage twice. So it's all important to get to know your meter, play with it, press the buttons, see how it flows with your readings, and you'll see if it's got 3 readings, you're reading the first one and the last one. There are lots of different meters out there too. Prepaid payment customers don't need to read the meter as they pay beforehand, but it's also a good idea to check the use, to keep an eye on where that meter reading is, and it gives you a kind of idea of what you're being charged for. When you buy your £15 top-up card, see what goes on your meter, how much is being taken away first for your standing charges. And it could be that you're paying for the energy of the flat upstairs as well, so you need to be savvy and check these things out.
Definitely,
yeah. Bills are then worked out from deducting the previous old reading from the new one, giving you the number of units you've used, and that's the cost times the cost per use, which we said before was the kilowatt charge per hour, and the daily standing charge is added and the VAT. So that's just kind of how you read your meter. But a Cold to Cozy Homes advisor ourselves. We can go and read your meters for you, and we can demonstrate and show you how it's done. There's nothing like that kind of practical hands-on demonstration, is there, to put you right?
No, that sounds brilliant, Kim. That's great that someone's actually could be on hand to kind of help you, because it does sound very complicated and it sounds like you could easily make a mistake. Am I right that meters are changing, Kim? It's all about in-house digital displays now, is it?
Ah, yes. You mean the smart meter, Lynn? First of all, the in-home display isn't your meter. It's just a little box that displays what's going on. So it's probably your meter itself is probably sited where the old one is, and your display box is linked to it wirelessly and talks to it and enables you to see your usage in all sorts of ways that you choose to. And of course, at Cold Cosy Homes, we can go through that and show you. You can be looking at your kilowatt hours, you can be looking at the cost, you can be checking that you've set yourself a budget daily and how far you're going in that budget. You can constantly check, I've just put the kettle on, how much does that cost me? You can get geeky about it, can't you? But that's the in-house meter. It's not the meter really, it's just displaying what you're using at the time. So there's lots of pros and cons about smart meters. I don't know whether we should have a chat about that, being as we've just got onto them. But basically, you know, your smart meter is a good way of helping you to save money, because it shows you how much energy you're using in real time. So that can encourage you to kind of cut down on energy consumption and be kind of aware of, oh, that costs that much, therefore I'm not going to do that. And in turn, that will reduce, you know, your cost of your bills and your carbon footprint, which is really good news, isn't it? And they're free. They're totally free. They're installed by a trained installer who's commissioned by the energy company that you have to put it in. They show you how to use it. And I know there's been a lot of controversy in the past about the first generation smart meters, because if you then swapped energy company and changed over, it didn't have the capacity to go with you, and then you were left with this useless piece of equipment on the side. These days, they've come a long way. They use the same network, and therefore changing over your energy company, you can still use your second generation one, and anyone still has a first generation one. They are all on a program to be changed and upgraded. It's been done on a rolling basis. And one of the other things is, oh well, we don't get Wi-Fi, we don't get Wi-Fi, you know, we don't get that here where we live, you know, we're in the middle of nowhere. And the thing is, they don't run on that at all. They run on a specific radio wave that is dedicated to the energy service via a central hub. And that distribution network sends that digital information to the energy supplier. At the moment, it's done every 30 minutes. And that allows the grid to keep up with the ability of where constant supply is needed at any one time. So that's really, really useful. And they're talking about that even being faster as the network improves. So it will be constantly telling the grid when they're going to need their power, which means that they won't be producing power when we don't actually using it. So that's another way of us saving energy and saving money.
Wow, lots to take in, Kim, but loads of really good advice. So really appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.